Let's talk about the emotional recovery from facelift and necklift plastic surgery. I think there's three reasons why the emotional recovery from this surgery is different from other surgeries. And reason number one is this surgery will cost you more money than you paid for your last car. This is a very expensive surgery. And leads into number two, which makes it even more wild, is this surgery isn't actually physically fixing something that was broken and that needs to be fixed. So I'm pitting facelift and necklift against other surgeries like orthopedic surgeries that we might be having. In the orthopedic surgery, in the knee replacement, in the hip replacement, in the shoulder surgery, the pain and the limitation of our function gets so much that we go to the surgeon and say, hey, can we fix this? And the surgeon will say, yes, we're going to put you under, we're going to do this surgery. And the goal is that you're going to improve your quality of life because you're going to be able to do more with your body. In the facelift and necklift surgery, yes, they are changing the physical structures, but the value that you derive from this surgery is all in your changing of the way you think about the way you look. So that's why you can see these objective before and afters, and you can say, yes, oh my gosh, there's such a big change. But if you talk to the actual person that had the surgery, they will say, I still am left unsatisfied. I'm still focusing on this one thing here, this one thing there that we didn't actually fix. And they'll feel like they're unsatisfied with the surgery. It's not just objective, what happens in the before and after, but also how the person feels about their improved appearance. And number three, this surgery often happens at the same time as we're renegotiating other things in our journey of life. It often happens around menopause. It often happens after a massive weight loss. We're already changing the way and living in a world that's changing the way that it's talking about how it feels about us. And then we're also changing our faces at the same time as we're experiencing other roller coasters in our life. So let's talk about some facts that are important to know in order to see potentially how much of an emotional impact will the facelift and necklift have? How much are we really going to have an emotional recovery? Number one is to absolutely understand it's going to get worse before it gets better. Whatever you are anxious about, whatever you don't like with your face or neck that is leading you to go into the surgeon, that is going to look worse for at least 3 weeks after the surgery before it will even start looking better. And then all too often, other people looking at us will tell us that they can see the change before we actually see it in ourselves when we look in the mirror. Number two, I want you to think about how you will react to the healing parts of the surgery. You are going to see that your face is a different shape because it's swollen. You are going to feel numbness in large areas of your face and neck. You're going to feel tightness here if you had a neck lift. These symptoms are going to persist for months and months. You are going to have to go back to living your normal life, to everyone thinking that you are healed, and still carry these shadows from your surgery with you for months and months after everyone thinks that you should be fine, you should be over it, you should be back to life. And for at least the first few weeks, you may see bruises on your face. Are you okay with seeing bruises on your face? And from 10 years of helping people recover from plastic surgery with lymphatic massage, some people are just fine with bruises on their body, and some people are very, very scared when they see bruising on their body. Understand how these things are going to affect you before you go into your facelift and necklift surgery. How are you at feeling emotions? You're going to feel a wide range of emotions. And in the Facelift Recovery Handbook, it's listed fear, optimism, pain, doubt, frustration, embarrassment, gratitude. There's so many different emotions that you will go through in this recovery. Are you going to allow yourself the time and space to feel and understand these emotions as part of your recovery? Or are you just going to try to like push them all down and like focus on getting to some imaginary point in the future where you won't have to feel any of that ever again? Also important to understand, you are going to renegotiate relationships with your spouse, with your partner, with your friends that are close to you during this facelift recovery. This may be the first time in your life that you're not there for other people, helping and helping and helping them. How are they going to react to you not being at their beck and call? How are you going to react when you've never had to depend on anyone else for anything else, and all of a sudden you have to depend on people for things? And you are probably going to find that at least one person in your inner circle is going to let you down during this recovery. One person that you absolutely thought was your ride or die, that was going to be there for you, they are going to let you down. Now let's talk about some hard truths about facelift recovery. You may see that the times and the places that you usually go to get stress reduction are not available to you after your facelift recovery. So what are some popular things that we do for stress reduction? We spend enjoyable time with others. We can be the person that exercises to get all the stress out. We can use smoking. We can use drinking alcohol. We can use watching TV. Maybe even something as simple as in the morning and the evening, we go out for that walk in nature with our dog. And we can enjoy making food and eating food and all the enjoyment that comes with that process. And facelift may kind of throw a wrench in all of that. If you feel really self-conscious about your face, about your neck, if you don't want to be the center of attention with everyone asking you questions and judging you and just staring at you and looking at you, you may feel like you're not going to be out there and spending time with others as much as you used to. And at week 2 and 3, you may really feel that change, and that you're not around other people kind of getting energy from being in groups and being in public. If you love reducing stress with exercise, I have horrible news for you. They won't let you exercise for at least 3 weeks. I have some of clients coming in, they're saying their doctor is telling them 6 weeks before they can really get back to the gym and do that hard workout that makes them feel so good. So what about smoking and drinking? The doctor's not going to let you do either of those things either. Drinking alcohol, smoking right after surgery is going to potentially impair your wound healing. It's not going to be good for your recovery. So what about watching TV? You still have the TV, but if watching TV is your only habit that you can do in the first 2 weeks after plastic surgery, it's going to get really, really old, really, really fast. That's what happened to me after my own facelift. I got really excited. I would finally have time to watch TV, and I was sick and tired of the TV. I didn't want to watch anything. Nothing was funny because I was just feeling a little pain after the surgery. So like none of the jokes were funny anymore. And then eating, for a lot of people, especially if you have the neck lift, if you feel like you can't open your mouth fully, if you just get tired, and I got tired even just eating a sandwich and chewing on bread. All this beautiful stress reduction practice of preparing food and then eating it and enjoying it can kind of get cut down to the bare minimum, especially if you feel really focused on, I have to get these proper nutrients in my diet for healing. That may be different than the foods that you really enjoy for relaxation and for comfort. So I do have some alternative stress reduction practices. I talk about them in the Facelift Recovery Handbook. I also share them on this YouTube channel. You can see videos on breath work. You can see videos on yoga nidra, specifically for people after a facelift and neck lift. So I would encourage you, if what you've heard is your basic stress reduction practices, it's time for you to try to add in new stress reduction practices so you have enough tools in your toolbox when your, usual stress reduction practices are taken off the table because you're recovering from facelift. So let's talk about what it says in the Facelift Recovery Handbook as far as the emotional journey that you may be going through. So it starts on page 11. It's actually titled the Facelift Recovery Roller Coaster, and it's absolutely a roller coaster. So the week before surgery, you may be thinking, should I even be doing this? The first week after surgery, you may think this was a huge mistake. How am I so vain? The second week, and the first month after surgery, you may think, what was even the point of this surgery? I'm an emotional wreck and I don't like my results yet. Even in the third month after surgery, it's still an emotional journey. You may be feeling everyone else is around me is telling me that they see results, but I still am worried. Am I going to get to my final result that I want for my face and neck? So the week before facelift, I felt anxiety and stress. I wondered if I made the right decision. Should I go through with the operation? These feelings are normal, and it's important to reduce stress before your surgery because severe anxiety before a procedure is linked to nausea, pain, and impaired wound healing after the surgery. So before surgery is a great time to start those stress reduction practices. So what about after the surgery? During the first week after your procedure, you may be feeling disbelief and regret. For many of my clients, facelift is their first major surgery. We allowed someone cutting into our face. We just think to ourselves, am I really this vain? And the scars, the bruises, feeling the stitches, all the physical feelings in that first week of recovery can sometimes make us even more anxious. What about week 2 after plastic surgery? Many surgeons are saying this is the time when you're recovered, you can return to work. That is true for some people, but not true for all people. You should not expect to look or feel back to 100%. This is not your new normal. You may be having all the feelings from the first week are still maybe with you. You may be feeling tired. You may be taking naps. And the swelling on one side of the face or neck may be different from the other side. And that can really get into your brain and make you feel like, oh my gosh, what is wrong? Am I going to be looking different on one side of my face than the other? Is this my final recovery? So what I will say is this is not your new normal. This is not yet your final recovery. What about 3 weeks to a month after plastic surgery? That's when those feelings of frustration and disappointment comes in. They're normal and they happen because the majority of like the big bricks in your recovery are already behind you. The majority of your recovery is done. The heavy lifting is done, but the swelling, the numbness is still in the way of you seeing your final result. So there's a lot of real estate behind you, but you're not still to your goal. You may still have the bruising, your ears may still feel swollen, tender, you may have the swelling, the numbness, the tightness is definitely still here. You may start feeling those zaps and those pins and needles that kind of makes you scared. Oh my gosh, like, did I just break something? Did something just break? Should I talk to my surgeon right now? Is there an emergency? When in reality, the zaps and the pins and needles are just the nerves regenerating. So for most people at 3 months, the friends are noticing the good results, but because they think we should be thrilled with our results, that may sometimes even make us like more nitpicky. Like even if we're 80% to whatever our ideal result was, maybe when we look in the mirror, all we can see is the things that have not healed yet. And it's completely normal, scarring in duration, swelling, the bruising may last for 3 weeks. And because everyone else thinks that we look fantastic, now kind of like the door is shut and we don't feel like we have anyone to share our concerns with. So this part of recovery can be a very internal process. It can get to kind of feeling very lonely because we feel like we can't reach out to anybody and say, but can you still see this? But can you still see that? Because everyone else is kind of like, oh, you look fantastic. You're so great. You should be happy for your result when in fact we are still healing. And then understand that dealing with stress in your life can slow down your healing as well. And this is on page 14. The client who is experiencing difficulties in their family, stress in the workplace, selling, buying, or renovating a home. This happened to me. We sold while I was healing from surgery. If you're caring for an older adult, you're caring for family members with special needs, you're dealing with other types of chronic stress in your life, your recovery may be slower than the recovery of someone else who had surgery the very same day as you. And this is because your body is dealing with more than theirs is, both physically and emotionally. And clients who don't have friends helping them or are the type that's going to refuse all help from other friends because they think they have everything under control, those people are under chronic stress as well. So these are some tips, some kind of insight on the emotional recovery from plastic surgery, both from my own personal surgical journey, from what I've seen as someone who's given lymphatic massage to help people heal for over a decade after their facelifts and neck lifts. And I read a little bit to you from the Facelift Recovery Handbook, which is available in paperback and Kindle and Audible. Thank you so much.